Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Cure for Cowardice. I was listening to a presentation by Alex Hermosi on my way in, and he was talking about his content strategy. This is when he was starting to become big, but nowhere near his current level as far as the media is concerned. And got me thinking, a big reason that I don't post a lot is because I feel like unless I have something to say that could be of value to somebody in the future, it's kind of a moot point. It's like, oh, here's the day that I've been living for the last however long. But a couple things. Number one, I forget that someday I'm going to have a hard time remembering what these times were like, even though I'm living it right now. And so it's good for historical record to show it. And so currently, I basically wake up. Oftentimes, I hit a Quick Trip on my way into work, and I'll get, an energy drink, some kind of breakfast, like a sandwich or something. And then I work, usually 7 to 3, get home, and then about every other day or so, I go hit the gym. And about every other day, I do the litter boxes. I try to take the cats for a walk about every other day. And I switch off between Chester and Scrim, my cats, who's walking on the harness and who's in the backpack. And that's pretty much my life. And then when I'm at home, I work on the product that I'm making for the business. Probably, nowhere near as much as I should. I'm to a point right now where I kind of need to just save up a little bit so I can get the hardware, and then that is going to be the next big step forward. But right now it's all just fine-tuning little details. But while I was building that, I worked on that for at least like an hour or so every day. Nowadays it's much less, again, because I'm waiting for the savings to buy that hardware. Which, saying it out loud, is pretty silly, because I could just eat ramen noodles and drink coffee at home for, a couple weeks, and I would have everything I need. So I should definitely do that. I don't know why I'm procrastinating. But outside of that, I sit on my couch and I watch movies or shows. And that's pretty much my life right now. So it feels very monotonous, but it's very gratifying as well. I've spent so much of my life not really feeling that good about the things that I was doing, and not feeling like I was making any kind of progress, not feeling like I'm being fulfilled in what I'm doing or how far along I am. And I think for the first time in my life, and I have day school and night school. I forgot to mention that. There's a few month break during the year where I don't have any, and that's about to end. So next week I'm starting up school again. But I feel like there's good momentum that I'm building here, and good habits that are slowly compounding. And there's stuff I gotta work on still, of course. Mostly my financial and dietary budget is the main thing that I need to focus on right now. I need to save money, and I need to stop eating so much. And if I can do those two things, I think I'm going to be in a really good boat. But this is probably the first longer stretch of my life where the existential dread of like, you're not moving fast enough, you're not far enough along, blah, 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 is probably at its minimum. This is as clear of a vision as I've ever had for exactly how I'm going to get to the life that I want. And I also recognize that it's not going to happen tomorrow, and it's not going to happen probably in the next month even. But I have pretty clear steps that are not going to be easy or simple, but I do have them laid out in my mind. And so, another thing that Hormozi talks about is the difference between anxiety and depression. Depression is when you feel like you have no options, and anxiety is when you feel like you have too many options. And for the longest time, I felt anxiety because it was like analysis paralysis. There was just so much potential, so many different directions I could go with things that I really couldn't make up my mind. Do I want to do this to get to, this net worth and then start doing philanthropy? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to do sales? Do I want to just all these different ideas that I've been bouncing most of my life. And finally, I think I've settled in on the first really big swing. And the thing about that is, in order for this thing to reach its fruition, I need to become a journeyman in the trade that I'm learning. And that is 4 years away. And so it's the first time in my life that I have fully, completely committed to something that is going to take years in pursuit of the bigger goal. And it's not that I haven't been willing to settle on something before. It's that I was always worried about settling too low. I was always worried, okay, if I put in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to this opportunity, by the end of it, am I going to be where I want to be? And am I going to regret this time that I spent on it? And I didn't know. I didn't have enough context. I didn't understand the problem I was trying to solve well enough. And now it's like, again, this is as close as I've ever come to having context, having focus, having a clear, actionable plan that I can take from now until I'm to a certain point of wealth. It feels good. It feels really good. I don't feel like every day I need to wake up and, sprint to the finish line. I feel like I'm just trudging along in the marathon now, but at least I'm heading in the right direction. And so this anxiety that I've felt most of my life is mostly gone. It's still there a little bit because I'm like, I should be moving a little faster. I should be locking in more, but I want to give myself credit where it's due, and I want to give myself grace, but not to the point of complacency. So that's the balance that I'm trying to make right now, is so long as I'm moving in the right direction, so long as every day I wake up and I'm, 1% better, then I'm going to be able to be content, but not satisfied. And so, anyway, that's where I'm at right now in life. That's the current stage. And I know that there's going to be someday where I look back fondly on all of this and how simple things were. And I just want to say, there's a lot of periods of time in my life that I look back on nostalgically, but in the moment I was in a lot of pain. In the moment I wanted nothing more than for it to end. But I look back on it now and I'm like, man, like, that was, I'm not going to say the good old days, because I think that those are still ahead of us. I think things are just going to continue getting better. But they were definitely fond memories. And right now, for at least the last 6 months or so to a year, outside of whatever personal, romantic difficulties or whatever that I had for a very brief period of time there, life's been pretty good. Very good. And it all stemmed with me picking one major swing that I was going to take and saying, I will commit 10 years to this, because I know that by the end of the 10 years, even if I don't get exactly where I want to be, I'm going to be a hell of a lot further than I would be if I just kept jumping between ideas and opportunities sporadically. And so, to future me, life was pretty good right now. And I know it's only going to get better. And thank you for having the vision and the drive to pull me towards that vision, towards that dream. And I want to thank God for placing the dream within me to begin with, because there's so many people who don't have a big dream, a big goal, and they're just going through life just trying to make it through another day, you know? And I hope things get better for those people, because I was one of those people for a long time, and it was pretty miserable. Anyway, back to the start of this. The other reason that I think I need to start making these more often, outside of just for historical record, and that they might help somebody in the future, is because people can get the same information from multiple sources, and it's not received the same. You know, if one person tells you something and you don't really listen, or you don't really believe them, then that information, that advice is useless, because you didn't do anything with it. But then if you listen to another person and they give you the same advice, but they say it in a different way, or they're a little bit more relatable, or there's just something about them that you like or trust more, now all of a sudden that same information becomes something that's actually useful for you, and that you can go forth and actually do something with and change your life for the better with. And it's not, I always say, like, nothing new under the sun, but really from each one of us is a different take on the same perspectives. And who's to say that my take or your take on the subject isn't going to be the one that helps somebody versus anybody else's? Maybe there's somebody out there who needs to hear it from a guy like me or a person like you, and that will be the thing that they finally are able to use and change their life for the better with. And so I'm going to try to stop worrying about this having, quote unquote original thoughts for these videos, because again, there's nothing new under the sun. But if my delivery of something has the possibility to help somebody, then it is my responsibility to do that. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for tuning in. Catch you on the flip side.